This is Labor Day weekend 2024. This is a bad anniversary for me. This marks another year since Mark Zuckerberg ripped me off in 2003. I was trying to be nice and I let Mark Zuckerberg, that went by Marcel Elliott Zuckerberg at the time, and his girlfriend, Priscila, stay at my home with a school bus and a dog. The guy said a school bus. Okay? So, Mark Zuckerberg robbed me from my home in Central City, Iowa. So, if people don't know this, I'm going to explain this to you quickly as I can. You remember Mark got in trouble at Harvard when he left? Okay. He went to Iowa. He took some classes at Iowa State. And then he bought himself a school bus he was going to live out of and turn into a schoolie at Iowa State. And I let him stay at my home. First, the week before, Severin and Mark came to my home to see if I had everything that Mark needed. And then Mark came back with a school bus, his girlfriend drove the car, Mark drove the school bus, and a dog. And they stayed Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Labor Day weekend, 2003. Okay? And then he learned about what I was going to do. I was trying to start an internet social site. And I created this elaborate plan from experiences from my friends that was supposed to help one of the friends. One of my friends contracted spinal meningitis when she was like 20 years old. And she was left paralyzed. And when I seen her at her house, she couldn't stand. She couldn't even sit up on the bed. She's hanging on to me. And she says, Lynn, what am I going to do? And I said, I'll promise you, I will always be there for you, and I'll make the world a better place with less barriers and more opportunities for you. And that's what that plan was supposed to do. The plan was supposed to fund free clinics, shelters, help find a cure for neuromuscular diseases, and bring the world closer to her because she couldn't leave her home because she's paralyzed. Mark found out what I was trying to do. I asked him if he would help me do the coding. He offered to help me, but then this lawyer, Mark Howitson, got involved and convinced Mark to ask me if he could, hold on here, let's back up. And he found me the investors, the exact same investors that Mark now has, that, when he started Facebook, okay? And Mark Howitson convinced him to ask me if he could use my intellectual work for a return. And I said I'd only do it if the return was high enough and the intellectual work still gets used in a way that it funds free clinics and shelters, help fund a cure for neuromuscular diseases. Now, if you remember your history, remember the MDA telethon ended, right? So this would be funding to take place of that, right? Well then, after a lot of arguing, we worked out an agreement, which I agreed to and Mark agreed to, and there was witnesses. And then Mark threw a fit afterwards because he wanted me to say on video, because it was recorded by video and audio, and everybody wrote it out, signed it on a sheet of paper, that he wanted me to say that I gave him my intellectual work, and I refused. And then when I refused, he said, well, if you're not going to say that, then I'm not going to, don't want any recordings taken of me, and there's never going to be any proof this ever even happened. I don't have any proof I was even here. So then he went around in a rage, destroying everything. He threw a cassette tape out of a mini recorder and a glass of pop. I had an Advantix camera. He pulled the back of it open and exposed the film. He took a digital camera and formatted it. Wouldn't let me have it back. He took it and formatted it. That's Mark Zuckerberg. Okay? Now, during the time in which this had happened, that was 2003. In 2000, I became a monitored witness for the government because I caught the government involved in 9/11. Where I was working at, 2 future terrorists came in, just got back from flight school, a double agent and an FBI agent, and I was ordered to destroy a mound, a big pile of evidence that showed that the government was involved in 9/11 and the planning of it. That was over a year, over a year and a half, right? And when I refused to follow those orders, I was threatened with treason and told to go home. So I was a monitored witness from 2000 to 2003. 2003 was the committee hearings, and they told me they were going to ease up. I could finally start having people in contact with me. So in order to make a little bit of money, I let Mark Zuckerberg stay at my home. And he robbed me. Now, pay attention here, because during the battle, he left my home in 2003, okay? Now, he just was registered to take classes at Iowa State, but he left. He went back to Harvard with my intellectual work that he stole from my home, and then he's flashing it around. He goes, look, somebody gave me the plans for $1 billion internet social site and more. I can't believe they gave it to me. I didn't give it to him. He stole it from my home. He used it to start Facebook. Now, he fooled everybody. He was always conning everybody, right? Then, once it was all up and running and his friends picked apart my intellectual work, using bits and pieces out of it, and Mark got all kinds of patents off my work, and then there was a court hearing because, they're fighting over it, right? Facebook? Well, then the lawyer called me representing Mark Zuckerberg, demanding that I give a statement that I gave my intellectual work to Mark Zuckerberg, and give a statement telling Mark to create a new creation history, because I don't want to be known that I created that intellectual work. Because they were trying to cover their tracks to make it look like Mark really had it given to him, and make it look like the person that gave it to him didn't want to be known, and that person was hiding in the background. All right? But the FBI should have done an investigation. I kept on calling them. In fact, they were monitoring me. They were monitoring me the entire time, right? So they knew what was happening. And then I called the FBI complaining about this, okay? Now, when they did that phone call where, demanding that from me, and I refused, they threatened me to never come forward, or they were also going to create trouble for me, and nobody would know any different. They were always going to win, they said, okay? But when that phone call was made, I had a state trooper visiting my home and his brother. State troopers from Iowa, his brothers from Texas, okay? They listened into the conversation. The state trooper's brother from Texas knew Mark through a friend. He was surprised about this, okay? Now, after the phone call was done that afternoon, Severn called me, and he goes, did you give them a recording saying that you gave Mark that intellectual work? And did you say that you instruct Mark to create a new creation history to hide your identity? And I said, no. They told me that they were going to take what I had said on the phone and restructure it along with video that Mark did at my home, and do an elaborate fraud to make it look like I gave it to him to try to get the case settled. And Severn says, well, that's exactly what they're doing. Get that? Now then I got a call from the government. You see, they were still monitoring my phones. That means they recorded that conversation when Mark Zuckerberg and Mark Howitson called me demanding that. They called me and they said, Len, we heard it. And I said, are you going to help me go after Mark and represent me at the Supreme Court and, get me involved in this, for they can't settle the case to prove that they committed intellectual property theft and fraud? Instead, they offered me another option, and that option was they were going to give Mark Howitson and Mark Zuckerberg and Priscila Chan the exact same treatment that the 9/11 witnesses received, which was quick and clean. Yeah, that's like they're going to knock them off, right? So they said they didn't control the court. So I'm at a loss here. I've been fighting this since 2003 that Mark ripped me off. Now I have Emery-Dreifuss muscular dystrophy and Sjogren's, and I haven't worked since 2000. I never can work again. I can't draw Social Security because I spent most of my time working on that intellectual work that Mark ripped off. I can't file for disability because by the time they figured out what was wrong with me, that I have muscular dystrophy, it was too late. All my work credits are gone. I can't file for SSI because our governor here in Iowa is pulling strings. She doesn't want anybody on disability. So I tried that as a last-ditch effort, and I won. But no matter how much I sold off, the government wouldn't even look at what I owned, so I couldn't pass the asset test. Then I wound up in state-funded aid, healthcare, which is the exact same thing I was trying to keep people off from why I wanted to fund those free clinics. And our governor has stripped out the healthcare, so it's Obamacare. It's called Iowa Wellness Plan. I have Delta Dental insurance, but they stripped out the Delta Dental so bad that the dentist won't take it. Then they told me to go to the free clinic, even though I have insurance. But then the free clinic tells me, well, if we have Delta Dental insurance, we're obligated to take it, but then it costs us, so you can't come here. Okay? I got insurance that covers eye care. Same thing. They stripped it out. I have insurance that covers the emergency room. Now, this insurance, if you work, you pay. If you don't work, you don't. It's on a sliding scale. I thought this would be a good view, but apparently not. So anyway, I've been trying to contact state representatives, everything I can to try to get this out. I tried to disbar that lawyer. And what happened was they bought off the witnesses. I was told by the witnesses that they got paid more money than winning the ultimate lottery. For a non-disclosure, not to reveal what they know. Not for the state trooper, not to reveal what he overheard in that phone call and his brother. Then, a couple hours later, after the state trooper notified me what happened, he got killed in line of duty. I tried to get the Democrats to help me. Democrats won't get off their ass to help me. Kamala Harris, you were the, we're involved, Kamala Harris, you were the Attorney General in California. California is where I tried to disbar the lawyer because that's where he's a lawyer, right? I took it all the way up to the Supreme Court. I don't think anybody believed me. Okay, you know what? If you want to reform the Department of Justice and the FBI, and you want to make a difference, and you want people to see it, help me. Get off your ass. I've been contacting everybody I possibly can, and nobody will help me. What do you think is going to happen to me? Broke. Because Mark Zuckerberg ripped me off. He could be paying me something, but he won't. So what do you think I'm going to do? Go away quietly? Or do you think I'm going to go out in a blaze of glory? Probably a blaze of glory. And then what? Everybody finds all these videos and everything's done. They find all the evidence piled up at my desk. And then what? Then what's the government going to do? Oh, well, we should have done something, but now we didn't. Oh, now we got to create a new law. And oh yeah, well, Lynn wanted to start a foundation to help his friend in her name. Oh, well, maybe we'll do that now that I'm, right? So, the headline I'm going to put on this video is Mark Zuckerberg and Priscila Chan and Mark Howitson robbed me. It's true. They did. And I have witnesses to prove it. Ah, now wait a minute. But Mark destroyed the video. The pictures, the camera, the video, he destroyed all that, right? But now, there was multiple audio. Mark dumped one in pop. I had it yet, even though the tape kept on sticking together. But then when I had heart surgery, somebody broke into my home. I don't know how they found out about it, but somebody robbed that and some money out of my house. That's the only thing that was taken. They could have taken anything else. They could have taken, you know, the hunting rifles on a wall. There's a lot of things they could have taken, you know, but nobody touched it. They're interested in that tape. Okay, but now there's another tape. Okay, there's another tape. But the tape got recorded over. But now if the FBI would get off their ass and help me and, you know, let the crime lab look at it, I bet you they could adjust the tape head and hear that recording of Mark Zuckerberg at my home. Well, what's your excuse? Get off your ass. Now, for those that don't know, I'm writing a book. And I'm getting death threats from, well, I got death threats before. Now I'm just getting threats. The government's threatening me not to write the book because I said if you guys can help me with Mark Zuckerberg, then the only thing I have left to do is write a book. To reveal everything about 9/11 everybody's not supposed to know about, this grand plan of world domination. And they've been telling me, Lynn, you cannot reveal national security secrets and you cannot put our agents in jeopardy. I said, well then fine, get off your ass and help me and I won't write the book. Oh no, we can't do that either. And I said, well then fine, I'm writing a book. So then I hear, so are you really going to go against the government? Yeah, I'm going to go against the government. What else can I do? So I'm writing a book.